Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Now, here's a little bit of context. I'll need to like inform you guys before we begin this video. And don't mind me, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm on my phone. I need to like find a very specific. Here it is. Let me just show you guys this, because this was a. This was something I saw on the front of the Daily Star newspaper on the 6th of January of this year, 2021. Now, here's a little bit of context I need to advise you guys about first before we begin, ladies and gentlemen. The Daily Star is if you've ever lived, from anyone who's not originally from the UK, who's now living in the UK. Welcome, all of you. I say that, I extend, an olive branch of peace, and I hope we can all become friends. I would look forward to that very much. So the thing is that when you see like a British newspaper, there will be some newspapers that have like a red box with the name of the paper, the brand itself. So the Sun, the Daily Star, the Daily Mirror, they're all mostly referred to as tabloid newspapers. The Daily Mirror is, well, it never really used to be. There was also one called the News of the World that went out of business following a scandal 10 years ago. I can remember that, mind. I really can. But the one in particular is one from the Daily Star, and here's a very choice thing that it was said on the front of the Daily Star on the 6th of January. There you go. Shove your dry January. As lockdown and I'm just reading this. As lockdown and the bog roll bandits return, they never did. I can tell you that, ladies and gentlemen. I went into certain supermarkets. They were absolutely, not short of bog rolls or anything like that. By Andy Crick. So now we know exactly who wrote this. It rhymes with Crick anyway. Dry January has officially ended for all sane people after lockdown and pandemic buying returned yesterday. And let's be honest, we've got a special case here. He's saying, let's be honest, not having a drink for a whole month was always a bloody stupid idea anyway. You can shove your dry... You can shove your keep fit, shove your diet, and definitely shove your dry January. I'll be frank with you, ladies and gentlemen, because I've always wanted to say stuff like this, because, well, at the risk of me getting quite mad, the great irony is that the majority of my videos, ladies and gentlemen, I would describe myself as mild and, very, very, like a broadcaster, more or less. Somebody who's, controlled, somebody who's, very responsive, somebody who's gives you information, gives you what you want. But I've got to say this, ladies and gentlemen. At the risk of me getting quite mad, let me tell you something right now. And maybe you're listening to this, Andy Crick, because I hope you're listening to this. You think it's funny? What you think telling people, saying that it's not drinking is a bloody stupid idea? Do you think openly encouraging people to drink is a good idea? When I started 2021, I was going to stay sober this entire year. I'm not even joking, because, well, I didn't excessively drink throughout 2020 and stuff like that, but I was making a little bit more of a habit out of it. But when I sort of recognized that I was putting on too much weight, and when I was putting on too much weight and I felt like I was wasting too much money, I more or less put an end to it. And I must have had at least like 6, 7, 10 maximum pints this year. But that is literally it. And it would only through like social occasions. I wouldn't, just drink on my own. That's that sort of thing. But so yes, I will admit that I have had a few drinks here and there, but I've not made a habit out of it. I've learned to be controlled. I've learned to be responsive. And you know what? I've learned to be dignified about it. And there is nothing dignified about what they said on the front of the Daily Star. And some people you might be thinking to yourself, oh, but they wrote it back in January. Who cares if about what they said 7 months ago? Well, let me tell you now, ladies and gentlemen, listen, you may think that, that the Daily Star and other, like, trash gossip rags, are worth your time because they do, like, relatable stuff like sex and football. Let me tell you now, ladies and gentlemen, newspapers are not your friends. Newspapers appeal to the most desperate common denominators known to man. They prey on the sort of things people want to hear, which includes, but is not limited to, being very judgmental towards women, racism, class warfare, racial hatred, religious intolerance, and spreading blackmail and deception and disseminating the working class, the lowest common denominator, as far as groups like the Daily Star or the Daily Mirror or the Daily Express. Basically, fuck every single one of them. Even the ones that I technically like, I don't really feel like I want to have much to do with them. That's including stuff like the Private Eye and the Eye and even the Daily Mirror. I just don't want to have like anything to do with them. Because fuck me, like it drives me absolutely insane that there are people out there who would have... I reckon there'll be people out there who would be praying that I completely let my body go to pieces for the fear that if I didn't, and that I would continue doing all of these videos, that I would spend this entire year involved in this sort of quest to regain my honor and my dignity and get myself back onto into like the internet spotlight. I bet they pray that they wish I had never done that because they wouldn't be people who would stand up and talk excessively about their bullshit, because that's all they're good for, ladies and gentlemen, is spreading bullshit just so that they can make people feel better about themselves, saying that let's just have a drink. Who gives a shit about improving yourself? What if somebody who was dealing with alcohol issues saw that and they get the idea that, well, I may as well have a drink because, you know what, if they seem to think it's okay, then I'll have one. Playing into people's insecurities and telling them that they can drink to forget and eventually remember nothing about the night before. And I'm going to go back to that article in a second. Well, actually, I'll just do it right now. And I'll go for Dry January has officially ended for all sane people. So apparently people who think it's a good idea not to just have a drink are apparently called insane. I think, ladies and gentlemen, I honestly, if I actually had the power in me, I would have probably like invested in a lawsuit or something like that, because I don't particularly think that's a very nice thing to say. Call it what you may, ladies and gentlemen. I just don't think he got paid for this. This is what you need to also bear in mind. People get paid to write this rubbish, and I could, if I really wanted to, I could probably apply for that. I could probably write far worse material and probably get paid even more. But again, ladies and gentlemen, I've got more dignity to then do it, and I reckon there'll be people on the Daily Star who'll be looking at me saying that, do you really think somebody like me, a member of the working class, can actually afford a sense of honor or dignity? Well, I'm sorry, Daily Star, but I do. You know what? Many people do. Hundreds of thousands do. And also, you've got to really think about how you want to respond to that, Daily Star, because many of those people of the working class probably are the ones buying your papers. They're the ones who are paying you. They are the ones paying for you to write this rubbish. Because we're not done yet. You're never going to guess what they said on the front of the front of today's Daily Star. Are you ready for this, ladies and gentlemen? You are going to have a hoot when you hear about this. They say that scientists have cracked it. that they have discovered a way to make a chicken korma that can make a woman particularly very frisky in the bedroom. Two things are apparently obvious when you hear about stuff like that. The first is technically we are in what's referred to as a silly season. This is a term used in newspapers when there's no major news story, Parliament isn't open, so in order to fill the gaps that newspapers have got to, they will pick upon any old shite and then just put it in and thought, well, let's just let the audience laugh. We'll come up with something so unbelievably ridiculous and then put a very stupid, punny title in it, and then we'll see what dullard thinks about this, because they may actually think that it sounds so ridiculous that it'll actually be true, but they'll end up believing it. They may as well just say that two tailors have made new clothes for the emperor and here's his picture. They would probably have more success. I've probably come up with the next story for tomorrow. That would be interesting. But the second thing I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, is silly season or not, are you really this desperate to find anything worth talking about? I mean, what about the over 20,000 complaints that Ofcom have received in regards to something that happened on Love Island? Can't you want to write stuff about that? I mean, the Daily Star and the Daily Mail as well being particularly snooty about one contestant a few years ago who was studying as a doctor and now was on Love Island. They were very critical towards her because of the decisions she make. And you know what? I reckon there'll be people out there who'll be very critical about the way that I've decided to do what I do. But you know what? If that is going to be exposing, bullshit and having my say about it, well, you know what? You can shove your hypocrisy, Daily Star. You can shove it. That's what I gotta say to you, because, quite frankly, I do not need you here to tell me what I can and cannot do. Because apparently you seem to think I'm an insane person who thinks that just because I've set myself up to be a better person that I'm somewhat crazy. You know what, ladies and gentlemen? I'm going to find out exactly what the Daily Star and the Sun, for that matter, and whatever bullshit the Express and everything else has got to say tomorrow. Because, like I said, I don't think people really should get away with writing that kind of rubbish and expect to get paid out of it. Fuck that, ladies and gentlemen, because it's not right. It's not right to call people, insane just because they don't want to drink. It's also it seems extremely sexist to start, making articles about saying that food increases a woman's sex drive as though that's the only thing that actually matters in relationships nowadays. And it's also not acceptable, ladies and gentlemen, I think anyway, and to go back to this article one more time tonight, to start saying bullshit and thinking that you're doing good by telling people it's absolutely okay to do this, that, and the other. They're not the police, ladies and gentlemen. The Daily Star has no influence or control over you. Don't think that they do, and don't let them drag you down into oblivion. Because I can guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to be on the very top of this pile, and I will then set fire to everything beneath us, and then we won't ever have to look at it ever again. I'm saying that right now, ladies and gentlemen, because I feel somewhat relieved to have finally gotten all of that bullshit off my chest. I feel relieved knowing in the knowledge that their words cannot hurt me. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but tanks will never hurt me. And words can't hurt me either. My life is nothing but a comedy. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, always keep your eyes open, because the Daily Star if they want to go around and pretending their shit doesn't stink like everyone else's, well, I'll be the one lifting my nose a little bit lower to the ground and start telling people that don't go near this pile, it absolutely reeks. That's just about all I got time to say for, ladies and gentlemen, so I will hope to see all of you guys again in the next video. Suck it, Daily Star. Suck it.